Python numbers. The number data types are used to store numeric values. Python supports integer, floating point numbers, and complex numbers. They are defined as int, float, and complex in Python. So the int holds signed integers of non-limited length. The float holds floating decimal points and it's accurate up to 15 decimal places. And the complex holds complex numbers. Let's see this in action. So first, let's deal with the integers. So I'll call this int. Let's create some variables. So I'll call the first one 23. Let's make this one a very long number. And to also tell you that we can do negatives. Now, if we check the type of these numbers, print type of x. Let's duplicate this 3 times. So we can check for y and z. If I run this, you can see the 3 of them are both class integer, integer, integer. Okay? The next set is float. So if I come down here and I drop this down again, so float. And I can change the value. So a floating point number is a number that has decimal places. So we can start with 2.3. We can go as far as a very long one like this. And we can have the ones with points too. If I save this, I clear this output and I run this. You see they are all floats, and that is because they have decimal places. Now the next one is the complex data type. So I'm going to copy all this. Then we can walk down here. For complex, you have the real number and the imaginary number. So we can have J5. So we can have something like 5J, that is the imaginary part. We can have 5J. We can also have a negative 5J. If I save this and I run this, you can see that the data type is the complex data type. So what you can understand from this now is that in Python you have three numeric data types. The first one is int. These are long numbers without decimal points. The floats, they have decimal points, and the complex numbers that has the imaginary part. Also, we can change data types from one data type to another. So let me copy this and let's try that. So x, we can make x an integer. Let's say for 34. This one is a floating point, and we can leave this as 5J. So converting this right now, let's save and just check what they are, the data types. So you can see int, float, complex, the 3 of them. Now we can change them by using some new variables. So we'll have a is equal to, let's change the integer to a float. So float of x. So x is an integer, it's become a float now. B, and let's change the float to an integer. So that is going to be int of y. And we can also convert the int to a complex number. So we say c is equals to complex of x. Note, you can't change a complex to another data type. All right. So if we come down here to change this a, to check the type, b, and c, save, you can see that the data types have changed now to float, integer, and complex. So because in C, in variable C, we change the value of the integer value to complex, and vice versa for A, B. Also, we can get random numbers in Python. So Python does not have a random function. Instead, we import it using a module. We'll talk about module in subsequent videos, but let's check what a module does. So to get a module in Python, you use import, then the module you want to import, we are importing the random module. So now that we've imported the random module, we can then create some random numbers. So we can do something. We can say print random so there are different types, so there are different preference, but let's just do one with the random range. So we can say dot. You see there's a lot of them from my autocomplete, but we're going to work with rand range. So rand range is going to give us a range between a series of numbers. So between 10 and 20, that's where we want to get our random numbers from. So if I run this, you see 13. If I run it again, 12. If I run it again, 13. If I run it, 19. You see, they are just random numbers. Okay? So if you want to get a lot more random numbers, you can check the Python documentation, checking the Python random. But for now, this is where we're going to end this video on Python numbers, and we've been able to touch on integer, float, and complex numbers type, and how to convert the data types to different ones. So guys, I'll see you in the next one.